Hey there, I'm Hannah from Wicked Wanderings. If you love diving deep into dark tales, spine-chilling mysteries, and the creepiest corners of true crime, then come wander with us every Wednesday. Each week, we unravel the untold stories that haunt the edges of history and explore the eerie unknowns that keep you up at night. Whether it's a notorious case or a forgotten legend, we've got the chills you're craving. So tune in wherever you listen to podcasts and join our Wicked community, where curiosity is key and wandering is a way of life.
This is Christine.
This is Jessie.
And we are the hosts of the podcast Dark Mysteries.
Please come join us every Monday for
some crazy true crime,
some spooky paranormal,
and of course it wouldn't be complete without some weird and creepy.
You can find us on Spotify,
of course on Patreon,
as well as Amazon and many others.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to Candlelit Stories, a new podcast brought to you by Pen Epic Productions, producers of Haunted Escapes with Chris and Diane. In this podcast, we will take you on journeys into strange worlds. You will meet many different characters and join them in their stories. This podcast will be made up of short stories, many will be new and original works. Some will be old classics, and we hope all of them will be enjoyed. My name is Jim Hubmaster, and I will be your guide. So please sit back, relax, and let's begin. Stalking. The darkness hides me. I move amongst them, yet none see me. I watch and wait. Their own ignorance and arrogance allow me to blend, to become like them, to mix and mingle. It has been like this for ages. Since the beginning, we have always been. Our existence is kept secret, yet all know. They know, but do not believe. We hunt them all, but especially the doubters, the ones who think of us as mere fantasy, things of legend and lore. For these ones are special. Their taste is so much sweeter because it is tingled with fear and denial. Fear of the unexplained, of the unknown, and denial of history and legend. These skeptics say they will only believe when they see. Yet when they see it, it is too late to believe, for by then, they are ours. We have been through many centuries and lived many lives, from pauper to aristocrat, royalty to thief. We are whatever we must be to hunt our prey. We are master predators, able to adapt. We are always watching and waiting. We see you now. We are closer than you think. We smell your apprehension, your fear. You are ours already. We will watch and wait. Then when you least expect it, we will pounce. You may hide or try to protect yourself. However, you do not know what we know and cannot stop that which is unstoppable. Yet you will try, and you will fail. And we will watch, and we will wait. Then when you least expect it, we shall feast. It has been so since the beginning, and will be so until the end. For we are vampire, and we are eternal. Vampires, creatures of legend and lore. These are beings that live in the annals of history locked away in the back of our minds. They are cursed souls trapped in a never-ending nightmare of death, creatures that must feast on the blood of the living in order to sustain themselves. Night is their time, darkness their friend. Today's story is called Predator and Prey. It is about these children of the night and those that hunt them. A thick fog clung fiercely to the damp streets like a shroud, its tendrils reaching through the wrought iron bars of Highgate Cemetery. Professor Arthur Pennington, his trench coat pulled tight against the chill, hurried past the mausoleums, their shadows dancing in the flickering gaslight. Pennington, a man of reason and science, was on a most peculiar errand. An elderly acquaintance, Lord Blackwood, had summoned him urgently, his cryptic message hinting at a discovery of unthinkable significance. Blackwood's mausoleum loomed ahead, an imposing structure adorned with gargoyles that leered grotesquely in the night. With a deep breath, Pennington pushed open the heavy oak door and descended into the inky blackness. A single oil lamp sputtered on a dusty pedestal, casting an eerie glow on Blackwood's pale visage. The old lord lay propped against the sarcophagus, his breathing shallow, his eyes glittering with an unnatural light. "Pennington," he rasped, his voice a dry whisper. "Come closer. I have something to show you." As Pennington drew near, a tremor of dread coiled in his gut. Blackwood's skin, once ruddy and weathered, was now deathly white, stretched taut over his skeletal frame, his lips bloodless and cracked.
curled into a chilling smile. Blackwood gestured weakly to a nearby sarcophagus. With trembling hands, Pennington pried it open, revealing a sight that sent a jolt of terror through him. Inside lay a woman, breathtakingly beautiful, her face serene, her ivory skin flawless, but her lips, like Blackwood's, were devoid of color, and her chest moved with shallow breaths. In that instant, Pennington knew Lord Blackwood was no longer a man, but a creature of the night, a vampire condemned to an eternity of darkness, and the woman was his next victim. The rain lashed against the iron gates of Blackwood Mausoleum, the rhythmic drumming, a counterpoint to Elias's hammering heart. He had come here in search of his teacher, Arthur Pennington. Pennington had vanished 3 days ago. He had been going to meet a friend of his whom he had hoped would have some answers. Elias and Arthur had been dispatched on this mission a week ago when a string of missing people had been reported. Supposed witnesses had begun to notice members of the community turning up with suspiciously pale skin and drained expressions. The Order believed that these reports pointed towards a possible fledgling vampire. Fledglings were dangerous, unpredictable. Elias was clad in a thick woolen pocketed vest loaded with silver-tipped crossbolts with vials of holy water. He wasn't your stereotypical vampire hunter. He was a college student by day and a monster slayer by night. Driven by childhood trauma, he kept buried deeper than the creatures he hunted. Tonight, the hunt led him to Blackwood, an abandoned mausoleum on the outskirts of the city. The rusty hinges screeched in protest as Elias pushed the gate open. Moonlight filtered through the storm clouds, casting an eerie glow on the overgrown paths leading to the mausoleum's imposing dome. Dawn would soon be approaching. He hefted his crossbow, the familiar weight, a comfort in the unsettling silence. Inside, the air hung heavy with the smell of damp stone and decay. Elias moved his lantern, the light cutting through the gloom to reveal ornately carved sarcophagi lining the walls. Each step echoed in the space, a morbid drumbeat in his ears. A sudden skittering sound from the shadows made him spin. Crossbow raised. Just a rat, fat and pale in the harsh light. Elias cursed under his breath, adrenaline spiking. He feared that his mentor's said friend was actually the enemy. He had spoken to some locals, and they had told him about this place as well as tales of the Blackwoods and their odd ways. If he was right and Blackwood was indeed the vampire, he worried his teacher was already a victim. He needed to find the heart of the mausoleum, the vampire's nest. A faint rhythmic dripping drew him deeper. It led to a descending staircase, its steps slick with moisture. He crept down, the air growing colder, a prickling sensation crawling up his spine. The dripping became louder, a constant rhythm in the oppressive silence. The stairs opened into a vast chamber. In the center, bathed in an unnatural crimson glow, emanating from a broken stained glass window, lay a marble sarcophagus. A figure rose from it, cloaked in shadow. It was gaunt, its pale face stretched into a predatory smile. "Lost, Hunter?" The voice was silken, rasp, sending chills down Elias's spine. He recognized the voice. It was the voice of Pennington, or rather it used to be. Now it was the voice of a monster, a creature of the night. He shook his head sadly as his worst fears had been correct. Blackwood had been the vampire, and he had led Arthur Pennington to his end. Without a word, Elias raised his crossbow, aiming for the heart. He spoke, a sad tone in his voice. "I'm sorry, my friend." The vampire lunged impossibly fast. Elias fired, the silver bolt tearing through the air. It struck the vampire's shoulders, eliciting a hiss of rage. The fight was a blur of motion. Elias dodged razor-sharp claws, the metallic tang of blood filling the air. He threw a vial of holy water, the vampire recoiling with a shriek as the liquid sizzled on his skin. Using the distraction, Elias launched himself at the broken window, shattering the remaining shards with his elbow. Sunlight flooded the chamber, banishing the crimson glow. The vampire recoiled with a blood-curdling scream, its form dissolving into smoke. Elias watched, crossbow slack in his hand as the smoke swirled and dissipated. The battle had emptied him, leaving him trembling. He had won, but the victory tasted like ash. Leaving the mausoleum behind, he stepped back into the old graveyard. The storm had calmed, and sunlight shone through the clouds. He knew this wasn't over. There were more hunts to come, more monsters to slay. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of weary satisfaction. He was a guardian, a protector of humanity. He was one of the hidden. Hoisting his heavy weapon upon his shoulder, he set off. He would find the one that did this to his mentor, and he would destroy it. His boots echoed softly as he made his way out of the cemetery. The hunt would continue. Arthur's downfall came from his faith in his friend. However, Elias was not trusting enough and did his research. We should always be wary of people or things, because even those you think are friends can sometimes be the enemy. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, please leave us a like, subscribe, and follow us. Candlelit Stories is a production of Pen Epic Productions. Today's story was written by Chris Turner and read by me, Jim Hubmaster. The artwork and editing was done by Diane Turner, and music was composed by Michael Fetzik. You can reach us at penepicproductions.wixsite.com/haunted. There we have stories from all of our other podcasts, as well as a link to merchandise on our social media platform. You can leave us a message or submit stories of your own to our email, penepicproductions@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. This has been Jim Hubmaster, and I hope you'll join us again next time on Candlelit Stories. Until then, keep a candle burning.
Ooh. Welcome to the Bell Witch Podcast, a show that covers the infamous legend of the historic Bell Witch haunting in southern United States in the 19th century, where the Bell family experienced frightening happenings within their home. Hang on a second. No, that's the wrong Bell Witch. This is a podcast about being a witchy pagan in the 21st century, airing bi-weekly, with different guests on each month sharing their pearls of wisdom and gems of knowledge from their very own witchy businesses. I call it a moot loot. Here we cover a wide range of pagan and witchcraft related topics, from sigils, spells and spirits to Reiki rituals and pagan parenting while camping in the Bell tent named Delilah. It's got nothing to do with the Bell Witch from the 19th century in Tennessee that scared people to death in a little townhouse, which may or may not be true. Pretty cool story, but yeah, it's the wrong Bell Witch. This Bell Witch podcast is brought to you by Swales, the friendly green witch from Leeds, UK. A northern witch with a strong Yorkshire accent, a love of all things weird, spooky, magical, and a smelly dragon named Dave. So tune in every 2 weeks for a sprinkling of Yorkshire magic. Listen to the Bell Witch podcast with me, Swales, a friendly green witch, wherever you get your podcasts.